Hi, I'm Allie Rain, and this is my familiar, Cypher. I'm an award-winning fantasy author. My books are called the Necroseem Chronicles. They are about a necromancer whose soul is trapped inside his twin as they go on epic adventures. If you want to learn more, you can go to ellierain.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble and Amazon for more.
We are Tuatha, and we knew that you would probably request a particular song from us. This is our simple freebird, just for you. I want to tell you about some links that we've got going on. We have a tip jar. You can find that at paypal.me/Tuatha. It's the name of our band, Tuathadea. You can visit us on our website, Tuathadea.com, where you can find all kinds of links, all kinds of pages. You can find our store with our merch and more. Tuathadea.com/the-store-2. You can also find our mailing list on our website and sign up for all kinds of cool information. Visit us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Tuathadea. We really appreciate you once again. Thank you for having us here.
Do you want to make sure your convention isn't a dud? Then contact the CONmods for all of your moderating and consulting needs. We've had the pleasure of working with Sean Schemmel, Adam Baldwin, Matthew Lewis, David Yost, Brian Michael Bendis, and many, many more. Find us at theconmods.com, a proud partner of CONjuration 2020.
Hey, there we are. Look at that. We got a here. Look at that. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Hello.
Not too bad.
Good.
So to introduce you all, we have myself, Matt Metzger. I'm the creator of the show. We have John Babcock III, one of our glorious writers. We have Bill Zabrick. He's a writer. He's the dead guy at the bar. And what's that word, Bill?
Your consigliere.
Don't know that word.
Watch the Godfather, Matt.
I won't. We also have Mike Morrison, who plays Rick on the campaign. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm actually editing my name now so everyone knows that I'm Rick, since I'm not a consigliere.
New word of the day, folks.
Yep.
Here we're going to be doing a Q&A for Q&A for the campaign, which if you guys saw our episode 1 and 2, you probably already know who we are and what we do. At least by now you should. And the behind the scenes of episode 3. I do have a couple questions listed. I set aside just in case we need something to get the ball rolling. For you three guys, we might actually have another actor joining us later. We're not sure, but probably not. John is also now Will the Washer. That's the thing.
Spoiler.
Do you guys have any questions you wanted to ask each other or me or yourself or the universe or anything before I get started?
Bill, how did you find inspiration to play dead guy at bar?
Well, it's funny you asked that. It really came to me rather suddenly when the person who was supposed to play dead guy at the bar didn't show up for set.
It's a real Meisner to dive in.
Yeah. It would have been nicer. It was very cold that day, but if it hadn't been, it was an early set day, as most are, and I would have just gone to sleep. It would have been a lot easier.
Well, if Matt would buy us coffee every now and then, perhaps you could have been more lively, dead man.
Interruption. I buy coffee, and that's all I buy.
We have nothing but coffee on set at all times.
Yeah.
Coffee and simple sugars. That's all we have.
Okay, to nip this, we do provide food and snacks, sometimes for fake blood usage. Sorry, Melissa McGrath, for having to deal with the ketchup and whatnot on her face.
You need to apologize to all of us for that smell. The smell of ketchup that I cannot escape.
Everybody kind of likes the smell of ketchup and fries, okay? It's not... I owe you guys a lot.
Yeah, but maybe not after it's been coated on and soaked for a couple hours.
Right. Yes, John.
I had a question I wanted to ask Mike. Mike, since we shot like the first episode in summer of 2019 and then didn't pick up 2 until, well, then we shot it, a year ago in November, and then it was February, March, and then it was back in October. How have you and maybe if you've heard from the other actors adapted to kind of that staggered shooting schedule and getting back into kind of the character and the mindset and all that?
Well, I had a chance to become a halfway decent actor because I had a year to practice. So episode 1 was my first role on camera. Before that, it had been all improv or theater. So nobody said it because they're very nice, but the very first episode, I was very new to the idea of cameras and angles and delivering lines. So I was used to being able to say whatever I wanted to because I was improvising. Mm-hmm. So episode 1 is a very rough episode for me. So I was able to actually practice and take lessons and learn. So episode 2 was much more comfortable because I had learned how to memorize things. So that was a nice change of pace for me. But I think if you talk to anybody on this show, the outline of their character is kind of just the framework, and then we fill it in with our own personalities. So for me, and I'm not going to speak for everybody else because there's at least 700 people on main cast, if not more. But for me, it's been easy because I'm playing Rick. So it's not hard to slip back into somebody you mostly are anyway. Just memorizing what they're supposed to say instead of what you might personally say. Or if you're Tom, you just say what you would say anyway because the lines don't matter. But we're all fleshing personalities out as these people, so it's not hard to slip back into somebody you 80%, 85% are already.
I can definitely
good
to that. Honestly, not just because you're the only actor here. All of our actors are amazing, but seriously, like day 1. I don't think anyone would have ever noticed had you not said anything. I mean, day 1, it was like every character we were looking at, it was like, yeah, this is pretty much who we wrote. And then, episode 2 came around and it's like, hey, writing's a lot easier now because we can just watch what they do and be like, yeah, they would do this. So So yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see like the changes from day one to day whenever. Yeah.
John, I
Well,
have a
And I
question.
know, yeah.
Given things got a little crazy with COVID, which episode was your favorite to rewrite?
We did have a lot of rewrites.
I think episode. Man, they're starting to throw. I think
Blend
8,
together.
which it's going to be a minute before we get to. I think episode 8 was a lot of fun to kind of revisit and revisit. Yeah, we didn't back to square one blank page with it, but just kind of fun to go back, revisit it, and then kind of massage things, rework it. And now that we, as the writers, have a great idea of who the cast is, who the actors are that are going to be portraying it, we have a better ear for how they would say things, I think, and how their reaction to things. I think we knew the reaction of the characters, but how to interpret that through the actor now is a little bit.
That's a good point,
easier.
because I know Matt was, we'll just say, optimistic early on during the pandemic, and he was getting the actors in for script reads with the full cast and extras and whatnot, all virtual. But honestly, like, hearing the actors do their lines, that helped. I didn't expect it, but it helped us a ton. Kind of say, okay, well, yeah, that we need to kind of adjust how they played this scene now that we're seeing more and more from them. And it was also great because they came up with some good one-liners and good little twists that we ended up being able to insert into the scripts.
I do want to do a quick shout out to Erica Wolf. I hope I'm saying your last name right. I think that's how you say it, Wolf, with the E at the end. Just for being there and being super fun. She's a Hufflepuff, everybody. And it's good to see you. Good to see it that you're around. Hello again. Also, so real quick, just for CONjuration, I do want to ask each of you, and I'll go one by one. So CONjuration is obviously the most magical convention around. And they closely relate, and I closely relate to Harry Potter. So I want to see what house you guys belong to and why. So John Babcock III, what house are you and why?
I think I'm going to go by my daughter. I think she's Hufflepuff. So I'm going with that.
I could see that. Because you're very sweet.
I'm not 100% what that means, but I'm what?
You're gentle. You're soft spoken.
Oh,
I think if anybody were in like a
I would agree.
dark alleyway and John Babcock showed up, they'd be like, "Oh, it's John Babcock. Cool. All right."
Oh, I'm fine. This is John.
It's John
Okay.
Babcock. I feel safer now that John is here. Bill, what
Next.
would you be and why?
Ask Mike.
All right, Mike Morrison, Rick of the campaign. What house?
Who do I think Bill is? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm a Ravenclaw through and through, obviously. Science, reason, logic, these are all what I base things around. I respect intelligence and a clear line of reasoning. Not much else. I have issues with authority. But so today was a good day. I won't say why, but I think everyone knows why today was a good day.
Fair enough. All right, so that's a Ravenclaw for you. We got a quiz. What is it?
There's a quiz for the house.
Shared a quiz to discover your house and your percentages. Nice. I've actually taken this quiz, I think, a year ago. Bill, what house are you and why?
Well, so here's the thing. I'm so middle of the road on everything. I fit a little bit into each one. So Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw are kind of the two I think I have the line between.
You know,
I also
have to Bill to say I'm an Autobot.
That would work. Is my connection messy right now? So I guess
No.
we're being outside. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's also been like 10 years since I've read any of the Harry Potter books.
That's
So I was real quick. Thank you for that quiz. The one I took was really long. And so I just made stuff up for like the last 5 questions.
Was it the Pottermore one? Because that was like the official one for a long
No,
time.
I got some. I just was clicking quickly to try to answer, and I got some BuzzFeed thing, which is clearly
much more accurate, they say. It's not the current one. If anybody watching wants to ask us any questions, by the way, we are going to answer them as easily as possible. Yeah, they say that one's a little more accurate. Maybe give that one a go.
I'll have to.
There we go.
I will. I did want to say, jumping back to the campaign.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I know that the writers, Matt, Bill, Kathy, and I have been from day one just impressed. Like the actors have been know every word of their line. Any of the delays in production never been the actors. I mean, they're on their lines. You guys know it. You have it down pat. There's no like, line. What's my line again? We've always been impressed that you guys are just on it and know everything, know the lines, and deliver them very well each and every time. So that's been like, and that's always a big help, when doing production, because there's so many other things that can occur, but it's never been, all the actors have been right on there with their lines.
Well, it helps everybody,
which is
right?
Great.
If we're what's holding
yeah.
know what we're talking about, then that's the easiest job there is to just memorize the words you were given 6 months ago. So, figuring out angles and lighting and shots, like that takes you to be there in the moment and do it. But, if you're the person holding things up because you had your script 6 months ago and you don't know what the words are, that's a problem.
So real quick, we got a couple questions. Also, hello, Lisa Delaney Williamson. She's Slytherin, which is awesome. I'm also Slytherin.
Hey.
She was Ravenclaw when posted. It's a common misconception between Slytherin and Ravenclaw, let me tell you. But so we did get the question, where were the behind the scenes of episode 3 taken? So that was actually at not CONjuration. We're at CONjuration now. That was at Cassidy Farms. Cassidy is this amazing builder, and he owns, I want to say, about 5 acres of land. And we've time and time again sent him episodes and said, "Hey, we need this for a set," and he's built something just way more amazing than we as the writers were even imagining. I mean, he exceeds us in imagination in a great way, and I say that as someone who's
And you met him at CONjuration last year.
I did, yeah. There was a gentleman who came up to me at CONjuration last year and said, "Mr. Metzger, you need to meet this man." And I said, "All right, wherever we're going, we're going." And I followed him, and he introduced me to Alan Cassidy and his wife Becky Cassidy. And since then, we've just been having several hoots and working on the show together. I mean, Alan is a stand-up guy. His wife is an incredible seamstress. Having them makes half of our production value. It's incredible. We were also asked, how long did it take to prepare the content and practice and video it on average? It's a good question.
There are a lot of components to that.
There are a lot of components to that.
Well, the origin.
You go, John.
I was going to say that Matt came up with this idea and approached Kathy Poley, Bill, and myself about fleshing out what this would be, and then we got into talking about the first 10 episodes, and then we got into actually writing them. And I think we had 3 before we did auditions, before there were auditions, and the cast. And then we had 3 scripts, and then through that, the production company came in, and then we were got the cast and we're distributing script. And even before, just after it was written, before we distributed it, we gave it another pass and did some more rewriting. So I don't know. It's tough to say, because when we're almost finished with episode 3, and possibly start the beginning of 4, and even before we do that next month to shoot it, we've already gone through episode 4 and done some rewrites on it. So it's a process. Oh, we're about to do this, let's take another look. You're always going to find, at least on the writing side, always going to find things to change and update.
Yeah, that's it's a good way to put that, for sure.
Practice
So,
and video it. I don't know, Mike. You tell us about the practice. I mean, I don't know that we're doing a lot of practice. It's other than memorizing lines.
Well, I think you guys alluded to it earlier, but we talked about when COVID was first kind of becoming, the quarantine type thing, and we didn't know, is this going to be April, May, June? We had almost weekly, like table reads, which helped a ton with timing, because this show has heart, but it's also a comedy, and so timing is a huge part of that, and being able to read off of people and play off how you think they're going to, what tone are they going to use, how fast are they going to say this lines, how is it going to be better for us to to jump on each other. From my personal standpoint, a big part of Rick's first plot arc in the first couple episodes is how he interrupts Barbara constantly. And it's very easy to see a manufactured interruption versus a natural one on camera. So being able to know, how she's going to pace things, and then how to cut her off in a natural way was a great way to kind of begin to see Rick's fake leadership versus Barbara's real leadership. And that can only be done in person, not in person. Well, digitally in person, but it can only be done when people are actually saying the words out loud, because I can read the script 1,000 times, but I'm not going to know how we're going to say these words or how Ali's going to say these things until I hear it. So from a preparation standpoint, that was great for us to get that extra time to kind of iron things out. Obviously it wasn't great for a lot of other reasons, but the prep, you can do as much prep as you want on your own, but until you're in the room with the rest of your ensemble, the prep only means so much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I would piggyback off of that. So I have a lot of different hats that I wear for the campaign. And to prepare, I mean, you're looking at, for my, situation, you're looking at ironing out scripts, preparing production, getting everybody on board. I mean, it's a lot of really boring and long emails. It's just so weird to go from writing a script, which is the most exciting thing to do, ironing out, getting creatively excitable, to sending boring emails, trying to get availability, trying to figure out location, all that stuff, to realizing that I'm in the damn thing. Sorry for swearing, but I'm in the damn thing and need to memorize the script itself, to back to production day of, and then eventually get back into character. It's for me, at least, it's very much this kind of a, roller coaster of just exciting, boring, exciting, boring. This needs to be done. Exciting, boring. But I will also say, as far as character arcs go, it's both incredibly satisfying and also sometimes difficult with some of the characters that I get the chance and opportunity to play, to try and, show the arc and show the character all in a brief moment, because it's only there for like a quick moment. You got Sid in episode 1, Bargle in episode 2, so on and so forth. So preparation for me, at least, is one of the more difficult parts. We did get asked, how long did the makeup take?
No, who did the makeup?
Who did the makeup? A gentleman named Alex Brychak. He typically works on The Walking Dead. He's a very, very talented guy, and I got to know him and met him through LARPing. Me and him beat each other up with sticks in Dagger here at the Atlanta High Spires. I saw him, and he had I shit you not, he had a cape of faces that had like all these prosthetic faces stitched to each other as a cape. And I thought, I got to fight this guy. So I fought him. I lost. And after a while, I practiced with him, got to know him, learned about his job, and I just asked him, hey, man, would you like to make some fantasy creatures? And he was all on board. So that's Alex.
I didn't know that's how you met him. That's pretty good.
That's how I met him. Yeah, it was a good meeting place. He had that cape of faces, and then also he had this helmet where he made an orc mask over the top, and then the visor or whatever. And he was the most terrifying person on the battlefield, for sure. What's the deal with the bananas? John and Bill, I'll let you guys answer this one. And Mike, you could chime in if Emily is nearby.
I'll let them set the scene, and then we'll see if we get a surprise.
One of the first days of filming, one of the few things you can do to thank the people who are volunteering to do this stuff is feed them. And we had an excess of bananas on the set. And as we're trying to create this village scene with people doing things and lively and action, one or more of them happened to pick up some bananas. And as we're filming, we thought, bananas are pretty exotic of a fruit to be showing up in these medieval lands. So we joked about it on set for a while, and now it's going to be probably referenced again in the future. Probably, I don't know for sure.
Probably.
John, do you have other perspectives from mine?
I just never realized how quickly a banana can bruise after being dropped multiple times. it just the more takes we did, it's like, are those the same bananas, or someone? Oh no, those are the same ones, and they're bruised. And yeah, I'm not going to eat that.
I will give a spoiler, just a brief one. I mean, it's about bananas. Who cares? I guess for the people watching. We did decide as a writing group that we were going to carry on with the bit. It was funny to us. So we carry on.
And truly just...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, truly just of, on set. We didn't think of that beforehand. Wouldn't it be funny to have bananas? But it's one of the things that happens when you're on set. It's like, oh, they should be holding something. Bananas. Okay. It really doesn't, but don't think where we are. Grab the bananas. That's how it happens.
And that's kind of an kind of a ego stroke to the writers here about how we adjust. But so we have ongoing jokes, like even in episode 3, there is a vendor stall with just full of bananas, and Preston is the one who looks for a moment and is just like, what? How? It's so annoying to our audience, I guess, or at least to Preston. He's the only one who seems to care, to the point where by episode, I think we have it in 9 or 10, the guy walks by a series of bushes, and Preston sees a bush of bananas and goes, okay. And it's so dumb, but it just cracked us up, so we put it in there. It's gotta make what you think is funny, I guess.
Well, I've tied to the banana aspect of things, because My girlfriend plays the extra who dropped the bananas, and she's not an actor. She's made that clear from the get-go. And as an extra, first shot, she holds the bananas. All she has to do is drop them. That's it. And she like throws them, which would have been fine on its own. But then she said, "Cut." The extra said, "No, we need to cut. I didn't do that right. Let's walk it back to everybody else."
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It was bad.
That's good.
Well, she knew there was no rescuing that scene, so.
Well, you talk about those bruised bananas. She had to drop them like 9 times. So by the end, they were just like mush in her hands. But I thought it was totally so brave of an extra on their first set to call cut before the director does.
Hey, at the time, the director was like, I remember Josh Warren, who directed that episode, looked down and he was like, "Yeah, cut. Those bananas are bruised, man. We gotta." Like he agreed. I do want to answer. So Chris,
Before you go to that question, I wanted to follow up on one thing John said, which I think is really nice as we're working through this, is the ability for the writers to be on set and be involved at that level, because we are finding things that people say or little idiosyncrasies that we are able to come back and say, okay, there's more we can do with that.
Yeah, we kind of get the opportunity to adapt almost. So Chris asked, there is D&D paraphernalia over here. Is that the right word? I think it is. I don't know. I write sometimes. What edition are y'all currently playing, and what edition propelled you to make the campaign?
The animated edition.
So that okay, two-parter. I apologize. I'm going to be talking a lot real quick. So for me personally, I had been playing D&D for about 10 years, and I saw the animated cartoon from the 1980s. I was just watching it for fun because I kind of liked it, and I was showing it to my, at the time, 3-year-old nephew, and he loved it. I mean, it's cartoons. And after a while, I kind of got the idea to, make a show that's a parody. But what if instead of these teenagers who are still agile, it were like late 20s, early 30-year-olds who are terrible at stuff.
The characters, Mike. The characters.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so agile.
I know
He's very agile.
I hope you are.
You don't even know how agile I am right now.
All right. Well, we'll be writing that in.
We'll be writing that in. So
Do I get a stunt bump or?
As far as inspiration for the campaign, it was honestly more of the cartoon that kind of propelled the ideals of the story. So I guess in turn, it was first edition. It was the original stuff. If you look at episode 1, we have the red books in the background, and we actually have this Dark Ages storyteller scream from 1989 is what Sid is using, and all the little paper minis from the early 80s to late 90s. We really tried to keep that authentic. So it's one of those things that's hard to pitch, but when you watch it, it's like, okay, this is set in the 90s, but it actually takes place in a different world of medieval times. Currently playing though, I've been rocking out with 5e, 5th edition. It's it's good stuff. 4th edition was terrible, so we're at 5th.
Related follow-up question, Matt. I know you came up with the name of Bargle for that one character. Did that came from D&D?
Yeah, so that was, weirdly enough, the campaign so far, even with just episode 1 and 2, we make a lot of nods and Easter eggs. So General Bargle, that's the name of that pirate character in episode 2. We got the name from the first edition Dungeons and Dragons player manual. They make you go through like a not pre-simulated, but I guess a little more structured campaign. And the first person that comes up to rob you is a guy named Barbara. So we took that and we put it in there as the first person who was obviously just trying to screw them over. So kind of our own little, I don't know.
We call those Easter eggs in the business.
Yeah. Chris, I agree. We don't speak of 4th edition. It's too annoying. There's too much combat and movement was ridiculous. So there's that. But I did have one question for Mike Morrison. So we got to do a lot of read-throughs through quarantine. I mean, a lot, almost every week.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because the big thing was we were writing the scripts and we wanted to flesh them out, but we needed to. We I guess not needed. We wanted to see the actors do it, so we could see what we wanted to adjust and see if they had any thoughts, etc. This is a bit of a spoiler, but I think tonight calls for minor spoilers. So in episode 5, they get to a maze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you are spoiling.
A little bit. Well, I'm looking on Facebook. I think we have 9 viewers. So 9 viewers. The word's not going to travel too far. It'll be fine. One is at least my mom. She'll tell me. It's fine. So we got
that Barbara Metzger ruins everything. I don't know your mom's name. I don't.
Close. It's Barbara. Barbara.
Is it really Barbara?
Okay. Side note. I'm so sorry. The character of Barbara was paralleling Bobby the Barbarian from the cartoon, but also my mom. Barbara.
I guessed. So welcome, Barbara. Welcome to the show.
Don't mess with my mom. She's a badass. Anyway,
I welcomed her to the show.
So anyways, so we got to episode 5. And in that episode, there is a lot of character story arcs.
Yep.
There is a lot of character development. In this episode, you see characters for what they truly are, what their abilities are too. We finally get to see what Barbarian Barbara, that's a tongue twister, Barbarian Barbara's full capacity is. We see a lot of changes. During that episode, when we did our first read-through, I noticed something you did, and I wanted to ask you about it. Because I think it's great. So Preston, I'm Barbarian. Good job, Chris. So Preston kind of has like this nod, like a big brother vibe towards Rick. You two have your out. You finally, release tension. You frustrated. You tell him, etc. When you first saw the script, what did you think about yours and Preston's interaction? What was your first thought before you read it, before you did a live read?
Finally, Rick's a person and not a coward. I have a little brother, so I can 100% put both Preston and the actual Ryan Toto in that role. If they're putting you to task and saying, "Why aren't you doing more?" It's an honest question that makes sense, and Rick's also not totally wrong with his response. So that's the first moment that I was sitting there going, "Great, I can finally not play the over-the-top coward because I'm scared for good reason." I think a lot of times we look at many of the major fantasy franchises right now, and it's all like teenagers. Hunger Games, Harry Potter, the newest iteration of X-Men. Anything is young kids that have to kind of grow into these hero roles. And to your point earlier, this is a show about people that are well into their adulthood, not well, but they're late 20s, early 30s. They have lives, they have careers, they have stuff that they can get back to. And so, being a 30-something-year-old businessman, like, never had to deal with battlefield tactics or warfare. Like, it's unrealistic to assume that being successful in business means that I'm also a good tactician on the battlefield. I think that's a nice change of the cliche, or the I'm losing the word.
Stereotype.
The stereotype of being a leader in one area makes you a good leader in some other areas. So I think when I first read that, I read that as Preston looks at Rick as a successful businessman, which means he should also know what to do when we're in Narnia. Like when we're in a fantasy world where our world's rules don't apply. And that's the first time that Rick outlines, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I don't have any context here. In the business world, I went to school. I got my MBA. I spent years learning how things work. That's not a one-to-one correlation. So, up to that point, yeah, I think when I gave that scream in episode 2, I gave you 2 takes because I can't do a third one. But, and it's fun for a little while to play like against type. Because I can acknowledge the fact that as the tallest, one of the tallest, I think Jacob's taller maybe, like as the person that probably looks like they should be the hero of the show, being the biggest coward of the show is a nice change of pace. Yeah. But then also is not going to sustain you for an entire season. So it's nice to understand he's a coward, sure, but so would anybody else under rational circumstances in this situation. Like,
so would any other Ravenclaw. I want to add that there.
So I did love that when I read that episode and read that scene. It's like, okay, we're finally letting Rick become a person and not just scared guy.
And that was one of the nice things, we struggled actually with Rick's story arc because it was one of those things where we wanted him to be someone the audience rooted for, not hated. And so the idea there, much like comedy, is timing. Where do you put the point where he makes a stand? Where do you put the point where he actually makes an effort? So episode 5, that's why I asked, what you thought about it, was a really beautiful moment to say, hey, I'm doing what I can. This is actually scary.
Right.
So, yeah, 100% what you're saying. I mean, that's...
Well, I think at this point, Barbara to an extent, but Rick is the only one that's still clinging to the idea that this is not real. Like, we're in this fever dream. We're going home. This is not something to indulge or embrace.
Yeah. I will make a side note. David C. Eberhardt II, thanks for coming in late. We're just talking about the campaign. It's a TV show you should definitely check out. Hey, Joey Herenzi, how you doing? I went to high school with that guy. How's it going, man? It's awesome. Chris Seckinger did
Chris
ask,
had another, yeah.
If you are read it, John, you go ahead.
Are y'all entering any video contests with any of these episodes? And if so, where can we go to vote for the campaign to win? And we're not. Or we haven't yet. Maybe we say it like that. We're still, we're most of the way through episode 3. We got one quick little scene to shoot, and then that'll be done.
Yeah. Well,
and then we'll have a conversation.
Well, so currently the last thing, because I know we're short on time, I want to mention we are currently applying and looking at distributors. And with those distributors, they're essentially going to do all the marketing, advertising, and take us to a streaming service. That's our ultimate goal, is to take 5 complete episodes to a distributor and then take us to a streaming service like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever we get.
Not Kiwi. Quibi, however, whatever that was.
No, not Quibi.
Not Quibi. They're
Quibi.
gone.
Quibi.
Quibi.
They're gone. We outlasted Quibi.
So in turn, we're also looking at what's the term? I don't remember. But regardless, we're working on distribution. Sponsorships. Sponsorships we're constantly accepting. We're going up to episode 5 for that Goblin's Maze is the name of the episode. And we're going to take those 5 episodes and submit and get a distributor to try and get our episodes on a streaming service. Anna asked us, you can rewatch it. It is record it.
She wasn't asking. She was letting David know. He didn't know what we were talking about.
Good. Oh, Joey responded. It's going well. I just want to say congratulations. Oh, thanks, Joey. That's awesome. Joey and I are from a small farm town in Ohio, so it's a big deal if we do anything.
And Matt is doing big things. This is pretty awesome what it's turned into. And I think we're all excited where it's gone so far.
It's bigger than we thought it'd be. So that's good. I mean, it's gone a lot. Now I know that our time is up at 5:45 and it's 5:46. I don't know when they'll cut us off.
Pretty much now. They're saying we're done.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah. Any questions? Follow us on social media. Go to thecampaign.show.
Or on Facebook,
Right.
the Campaign Show, or on Instagram, same thing. And
Twitter.
Oh, sorry. Before we go, big announcement. Here it is. This is the big announcement. On Monday at noon, we're going to do an exclusive teaser on Instagram and Facebook of episode 3. This is footage and some of the cut scenes from episode 3.
Cool.
So what we got going on. Check it out. Follow us on anything. The Campaign Show is what we're labeled as.
Thank you, CONjuration.
Yeah, thank you, CONjuration.
Yeah.
Thank you, CONjuration.
CONjuration.
Big huzzah.